But I said, if you want to really be part of the solving a problem, be a good dad and husband.
Come on.
At your home and protect your castle like the devil is sending demons to destroy it every day. If you wake up and realize, oh man, the devil's trying to get my kids, the enemy through, and be a watchman on the wall for your own home. Your own home. Don't be watching TV and, some sexy, Jezebel comes on and you're watching it. Your little girl walks by and goes, oh, that's what my dad likes. Maybe that's what I should do.
Welcome back to the Gateway to Mercy podcast. Riaan, Haynes, Britt Hancock, and today's one of my favorite days. We're joined here by our good friend, Victor Marx. First of all, Victor, thank you for letting us use your cave, your studio, your digs.
Oh, yeah.
It's been awesome, and it's been such a gift, so thank you.
I actually didn't let y'all. I was wondering, how did y'all get in here? I came down this morning. I'm like,
you need to check your security.
Yeah, I'm like, what? How? Okay. Welcome.
I'm a fugitive, They let a fugitive in here.
Very true.
We've got to change some things. I know. Interpol is on my...
Yes.
I think, is that him? Is there a reward?
So like you can tell, we have some good dynamics, and we love life, and we love Jesus. We love doing ministry, and we're going to take a little bit of a different approach with Victor today. If you want to hear Victor's story, I would highly, highly recommend and encourage you to do that if you've not already done that, especially the episode he did with Sean Ryan on that podcast. Victor's ministry, All Things Possible, incredible ministry. If you're looking to support something that does incredible work around the world in helping vulnerable children, this is, in my estimation, the best ministry you can connect with. And so, I've seen many ministries, so I'm not just saying that because you're the only one I've seen. I've seen hundreds. And Victor, actually, I want to start by talking about the whole concept of vulnerable children, because some people think human trafficking is like the only thing when we talk about vulnerable children, but that is only a small sliver.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like the guy that navigates this space. So talk to us a little bit about the reality of vulnerable children and especially, I think, within the family dynamic context.
Well, one, thanks for asking. Thanks for your kind words. And then thanks for teeing that up, because now I'm taking that our audience is mostly Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So in America, the Christian church, they tend to be a little bit late to the dance, and then they stay too long. And the music tends to be, dated in the Christian world. And I'm speaking about the issue of human trafficking. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it became, the educational process started with people like, oh my gosh, there's human trafficking. And then the church did take a nice approach, child trafficking. In my opinion, though, they're hanging on to some antiquated, I would say, approaches to what it really is. So because of movies, it tends to excite people, and they latch on to the term human trafficking and then child trafficking.
Because it's very moving.
It is.
It gets people, stirs people's emotions and everything.
And, I talk about thick data and thin data. And I'll give you a story to put it in perspective. So we were in D.C. This was a while back. And, we have a home in Iraq. We're doing heavy work there and getting women and children. We're ministering trauma relief. We're going in and out of combat zones. And we came home, and we had a meeting with a think tank in D.C. It was a lunch meeting. So we're sitting there, and and they're like, well, Mr. Marx, tell us about, something you've experienced. I go, oh, well, I met with, we call him the professor. I met with the professor and, they know his real name. And they're like, what? Yeah, we become friends. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, he took me to a group of persecuted Christians out of Camishli, and we got them moved and to a safe place and moved them out of the country. And they're like, with him telling, and I explained it again, and they're like, nobody gets a meeting with him. Not the agency, I said, they go, why you? I said, trust me, I asked the same question. And I asked him, because it was a 72-hour mission. We flew into the country, wheels up 72 hours later, because it was so high-risk meeting with him. Because he's there's about 300 million Muslims that follow his thought, teaching. So, and I never forget, they're like, why you? I go, well, that's why I asked him. And he said, we've watched you for 2 years. And he goes, we know you're not here for money, oil, political, military.
He's trying to help people.
He goes, you care for our children. And nobody comes here just to care for the children. And then he goes, we consider you a man of the book. And I went, whoa. And he goes, so I'm here to help you. And we saw some very interesting things, of which at one point in our relationship, he's like, would you, it was a very quiet meeting with T. He goes, would you like to know the location of an ISIS training camp? Now, the years we've been involved in this stuff, information, as you know, and can be good or bad. So I said, sir, before I answer that question, what do you want me to do with that information if I say yes? He goes, kill them, all of them. I said, well, I have friends that get paid to do that by the government, the U.S. government. I'm sure we can. He goes, great, because they're a virus, and they're evil, and they're killing innocent Muslims, innocent Christians, and they shouldn't be. I said, okay. I'll never forget he slid me over the coordinates, and I thought it was a lottery number. I kept, hey, honey, go get some lottery tickets. Anyway, a bunch of people got their feelings hurt, bad guys. And as I'm telling this story to this think tank, they're all like this. And the head of the think tank, I'll never forget, the person goes, I don't believe you. I mean, right? And we had lunch, right? I went, I don't care. And I just kept eating. I just kept eating, and they're like, everybody's bothered that I didn't. And then, thank God, this person goes, I don't think they meant to say it out loud, but it came out. They go, I've never even been to Iraq. I've never met an Islamic leader like that. And then everybody kind of stopped. I'm like, and you're writing policy for the U.S. government.
Theorist.
Unbelievable. So with that said, we're in this space in the U.S. of protecting children. That's our task force. We've done it all around the world. But what I want people to know is be very careful in your terminology of thick data and thin data. Do children get trafficked? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is the main problem in the U.S. child trafficking? No. It's a subset of a greater problem, which is child exploitation. And let me tell y'all, and especially your audience, why it matters. For instance, I was abused as a kid, sexually horrible. I had 123 visits to a trauma specialist to try to unwind my mind. I was left for dead and all this type of stuff. So it was horrible. I've paid a big price for that. So what happens to the kid who's being sexually molested by a relative or incest or a neighborhood kid or whatever? They're boy or girl, and they struggle with that evil that's been done to them.
Yeah.
But they're not trafficked. They will feel like, well, my problem's not bad because I'm not being trafficked. And all of it falls under child exploitation, which it's the biggest problem I believe we have in America right now.
Yeah. Let me ask you another not difficult, it's an easy question for me, but I think it's a thing we got to talk about. What is the gap between advocacy and action? Because I'll just say, I remember having a conversation several years ago with multiple human trafficking organizations raising millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I asked, there were about 6 or 7 organizations around the table, and I said, well, tell me what you do. And I said, and they were setting up, experiential things at churches and different things. And this is what a room looks like where a girl is trafficked and all that kind of stuff. And I said, okay, but what are you doing outside of telling people about the problem?
Yeah.
And out of the 6 or 7 organizations who were at the table, zero actually did anything to help solve the problem or move the needle. They kept talking about the problem, raising millions of dollars. And I mean, talk about the gap that exists in that realm, but then also, I mean, it's hard to get in the trenches and actually help people.
Yeah, it's that's the right question to ask. And because a lot of people don't know the real world of that, there are a lot of organizations and people that can just kind of throw things out, and it satisfies, a pastor or people or donors.
It scratches the itch.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, so I mean, really, there's probably 4 areas. It can change, but 4 areas of need. One is prevention. Second is education of the issue. Third would be the actionable arm to do the work of whether it's rescue, recover, prosecute, that. And then there's the aftercare. I'd put those 4 categories. Nonprofits need to stop acting like they do it all. Or, those who try to do some aspect, they need to be very honest and transparent. Otherwise, they're misleading people, which ultimately hurts the whole process of what are we doing it for? The children, pure and simple. The other thing is I wouldn't mix adults with kids. And, right here at this table, I had 4 women who had been trafficked. And one was just out of it by 6 months. Another had, in and out of it for, 10 years. And she had a really nice AK tattooed on her chest. I was like, wow, that's nice. You put a red dot on there. So, and she was from the hood, big black gal, unbelievably articulate and intelligent. I was like, I bet you get on, Miss Judge. She goes, yeah. And I said, ladies, tell me, I'm asking y'all, how do we eradicate this problem, being trafficked for sex? And they were shocked. They were like, no one's ever asked us. I go, and yet y'all been around and all that. It was amazing. They just said, 1, stop arresting our pimps. That's a shocker.
That is, yeah.
Because everybody goes, well, you got to arrest a pimp. This is why. They go, they never stay in jail long. They get a fine. They're out in a couple of days, few days. It causes so much problems for us. We will get beat. Well, because the guy's mad. We have to work harder. It's it doesn't solve the problem. It can often create a bigger one.
Mm.
All right.
Should ask people who know.
Second thing they said is, if you want to get us off the street, we really need vocational training.
So good, Victor. Yeah.
Come on.
Right?
On.
It's like
give me another job.
Yeah. And third, give us mental health services. They're like, we're messed up. Why do you think we're doing this? They're like, they're so intellectually honest. And they go, and with that, give us a legal aid to help us go to the courthouse, get a driver's license, pay a fine, deal with our warrants. We don't know.
Get Medicare, Medicaid.
Yes.
Get me social services.
Yes. Where do we stay? We don't know how to do this. And then the final one, which, is the center of my heart, they go, stop the child sex abuse in homes. Because that's what's put us here. And
that's where it started.
That's where it started.
We in Mountain Gateway in our ministry, we're in this, and Nicole and Jason Fitzpatrick, and we have 2 children's homes, and she's rescued a few thousand kids, and so often it's like over 80% of the kids that are exploited, quote unquote, trafficked in Mexico are. It's what you're saying up here. It's that happens by family members.
Oh, yeah.
They're renting their kids out
Totally.
or whatever. Drugs usually at the bottom of it, and so, but often, like we deal with them all the time. The mom of the boy or the girl that we're engaged in rescuing, she was exploited as a child. She has no other reality,
no boundaries,
and they're it's like they're like, well, I mean, that's how I learned. That's what happened to me, and so they just have to get used to it because they don't know any other reality, and it's self-propagated. Aunts, uncles, moms, dads, grandparents,
neighbors,
and so it's normalized. Like it's the capsule. It's still very poignant.
Oh yeah.
But what you're saying, that is the point.
Yes.
That's the driver.
Yeah. The worst thing I ever heard a pimp say, and he would get the girls and break them. So he was a breaker, horrible, like days, drugs, rape, to make them, break their mind and make them compliant. And he goes, I just want to thank the dads and the uncles for doing our job for us early on.
Wow.
Making it easier.
Victor, when we talked about the 4 things that these girls said they needed, and then what you mentioned, it's interesting to me, you never mentioned awareness. Mm-mm. Because there's a difference between education and awareness. Mm-hmm. Like awareness is, I know there's a problem, but education is helping me understand the nuance of the problem and how to actually respond intelligibly to the problem.
Right. In prevention, that's where awareness comes in, where you're telling a kid or you're talking to a parent and parents go, do I have to worry about the van rolling up and snatching my kid? I go, not really, not as much as, as it's hyped out to be. They're like, what's the biggest danger? I go, this. The biggest access to your child's heart, mind, soul is the internet. I'll never forget, I got called in on a case in California. A 15-year-old boy had wrapped up his younger sister with duct tape on a chair and raped her. Bad. Like just horrible abuse. And he had, been convicted and, arrested. So I had to come in. I met with the parents. I'll never forget this. I talked to the kid. I met with the boy. I'm like, because I always ask, hey, do you know why you did it? It's an honest question. It's like, do you know why? It's not like, he goes, yeah, I was watching it online. I could see, and that's what got me started. I said, okay. Now I talked to his parents. I said, did y'all know he was struggling with porn and gore and stuff? They were like, yeah. I never forget this. The dad's like, yeah. And, we would change the passwords but he just knows how to break into everything. And I looked at them, I said, but I heard that neither one of you turned him in. It was his aunt. They're like, yeah, we thought. So the parents found the daughter horribly abused, raped. They cut her free, and they still didn't call the police.
Yeah.
And then I told the dad, man, I almost throat punched that dude because he was this wimpy spine. Well, we tried changing the password. I said, who in the hell even says you have to have internet in your home?
Yeah.
A computer. Why don't you throw the computers out? Go medieval times. Yeah. Your kid is looking at the worst stuff, and you don't have the backbone to say. That's why I tell people, so much of this stuff can be prevented, but the awareness to prevent it must be actionable by the parents. Or else, right now, there's an epidemic of young girls being lured away because they're groomed. The grooming is the next thing we have to do with legally.
And they get access to them through the internet or their phone devices.
Right there.
Yep.
Computers, this. And people go, oh, my daughter only plays games. I'm like, yeah, so do professional pedophiles. Well, no. And
chat rooms.
It leads. So that's the space we work in the U.S. on a high level with national, state, and local law enforcement, that where our task force is set up to help try to, stop anything from happening. But then, again, at the highest levels, our organization, we have to sign MOUs with law enforcement. And some of our task force members are actually sworn in to find, locate the predators and any kids that are missing or being abused. But I want to say this point, and you mentioned it. Our nation, we got the right people in office, but our nation is still morally bankrupt.
Yeah.
In a huge way. And there was a bust through a task force in Florida that we're associated with, and it was a man who was running a daycare out of his house. And he was advertising on like some, weird, easy, poor man's, app. So poor people were bringing their kids. This guy was sexually abusing and raping kids. The oldest was 3.
No.
It's 3 and under. So when the task force hit that house, boom, he was actually in bed with a 3-year-old. They arrest him, get the kids, they run tape. It's a crime scene. People aren't going to believe what I'm about to say, but this is the reality. A mom pulls up in her car with her child. Law enforcement says, hey, we just made an arrest. He's a known pedophile. Children. The mom goes, oh, was there anybody else here that can watch my kid? I need to drop my kid off.
No.
This is what.
Yeah, how do you fix? Like, what's the solution for that thinking that's that's fertilizer for all these other things?
We're very debased in our moral code and compass in America.
Yep.
And, it's way worse than people think.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where child exploitation and child sexual abuse material is the driving force. It's like driving past a donut shop and you're a big fatso. I looked right at you, but I better look at you.
He always tells me I'm fat. It's okay.
You big fatso. No, we all know that feeling of like, I guess different carbs, and you go by this And you're like, oh, I'm just going to go in there for a minute. And all of a sudden you're getting a dozen donuts if you're like me. And that's what it is in child sexual abuse material. That stuff is the smell that gets people to view, watch, and then crave, and then have to act upon it eventually. Do you know what the fastest growing consumers of, I don't like using the term child porn, but it's child sexual abuse material. See, Sam? It's young men in their 20s. It's their ages. Because they've been looking at porn since they were 8, 9, 10 years old.
So it's fully matured inside them now.
Yeah, what else? I mean, gosh, all the categories in porn, I've looked at everything, old, young, animals, and they get to where they can't derive pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to look at.
There's nothing else to look at. And believe me, we deal with these cases, and I don't care who it is, pastors' sons, good young men. The problem is so big, I can tell you right now, we cannot arrest our way out of it.
So, Victor, let's imagine for a minute there are 4 or 5 pastors sitting at this table.
Yeah.
With the desire and the willingness to step in and take action, but they don't know, where do I start? As a pastor of a church, I don't want to be just someone who closes my ears and move along. How can the average pastor, parent, and I mean, I think you've alluded to a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
But if a pastor wants to take action, and I think both on the practical in their congregation, but then I also think, I do believe we need to be very wise in the resources we steward to say, I work with a lot of churches to vet their mission, so to speak.
Which I love.
And
I love that about you, man.
And some pastors don't want to do it, but some pastors come to me and say, hey, man, would you look at kind of our list of organizations and people we support? And I'll go through some honest questions and say, well, why do you support this person and it's astonishing how disconnected they are sometimes with the things they support. So I think 2 sides. What can a pastor do practically in his church, right? Mm-hmm. And should do everything within the staff, but also towards the congregation.
Oh boy!
And then the second thing is, pastors, I believe, and individuals, we should support efforts that are targeted at problem solving and not just problem talking.
Yeah. Well, that's a big old can of worms you just opened. Don't turn this off once I get talking. This is the hard truth, Rabbi. Here we go. I agree with you 100%. One, I do believe that it's almost like internal affairs. Someone like you should be helping churches vet who they're supporting. Now, I take very healthy, but for some people, that may be a little too extreme. I go, not if you saw and deal with what I deal with.
Yeah.
So they have to start in their church. Background checks for people who work with kids is not enough, period. I believe every church in America should institute polygraphs on anyone who's going to work with children.
Come on.
And simply just say, hey, and believe me, polygraph services.
Oh, but that's intrusive, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what about my rights?
What about my rights?
So
what about?
One, when a person's signing up that goes, I want to help, I want to work with your children. Oh, wonderful. We do a background and we do a poly. That sounds a little intrusive. It is. Yeah. They will not even.
Not near as intrusive as a broken life.
Right. Yeah. But groomers and pedophiles and people who struggle will not continue the process.
Correct.
They'll opt out.
Yeah.
Which is
easy vetting.
They'll go the pathway of least resistance.
Yeah, they're like, maybe I'll work in the parking lot. And whoever's doing HR or overseeing the volunteers goes, yeah, that might be a good fit.
Just flag
them.
Yep.
2 is parents. Like I get a lot of men, man, hey, I want to jock up and go, let's get wood chipper. I'm like, yeah, it's that don't solve the problem. But I said, if you want to really be part of the solving a problem, be a good dad and husband
Come on.
at your home and protect your castle like the devil is sending demons to destroy it every day. If you wake up and realize, oh man, the devil's trying to get my kids, the enemy through, and be a watchman on the wall for your own home. Your own home. Don't be watching TV and, some sexy, Jezebel comes on and you're watching it. Your little girl walks by and goes, oh, that's what my dad likes. Maybe that's what I should do.
Yep.
That's so good, Victor. I mean, I would say, I would say on even a personal level, that's just good to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, every dad should hear this. Every pastor should hear this. Every Christian, every young man, like the guys who work with us, everybody should hear this.
Yeah, especially, what is it? It's, we've gotten away from just talking real talk.
Yeah.
Right? It's, you almost, I'm a trained pugilist from years, but it's almost like you take it where I've seen this so many times. Guys talk about how tough they are, and I've never had a real tough guy have to tell you how tough he is. It's always guys that are like, ugh. So it always changes when, all right, well, I'll get on the mat. Or like yesterday, you're like, oh man, I haven't shot and I'm like, you're backpedaling on, let's just lower the expectations here. And let's not talk about, South African military. And yeah, you get up there, you're like, do. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't put a bet on you. And you were worse. You're like the sleeper. You come in with your bow and arrow, Robin Hood in tights. And I'm like, oh, this would be fun. You grab the pistol. You're like, key. I'm like, why? Okay. All right. We should be doing some heavy training with you dudes.
Yes. Yes.
So men, they have to wake up every day. And then same with single men. Single men, they're like, oh, I'll just wait till later. I say, no, you're in a fight. You're in a war.
Don't wait.
You're in a war. Now get up.
Yeah.
It's not about perfection. It's about direction. So like, okay, if you stumble, you look at porn, you turn yourself like a crazy monkey. Well, repent, man. Just, all right, get up. If you need somebody to be accountable to, say, yeah, I'm struggling with lust right now. Oh, okay, let me pray for you. I remember being on a trip in Alabama where we spent a lot of time. And there's some demons and lust down there, I'll tell you right now. And I called my wife. I'm like, hey, babe, I'm struggling with lust right now. She's like, you are? Don't come home. No. I said, no, it's weird. It's not normal. I know my normal, I was in my 30s back then. I said, I know my normal, desires and all that, and you kill your flesh. And I said, this is different. This is something.
This is turbocharged.
Yeah, this is heavy.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'll get the kids. We'll pray for you right now. And then in a 24-hour period, this is exactly what happened. I'm driving back from visiting with a little meeting with donors or something. I'm driving a carload of girls. This was in Birmingham, I believe. Pulls up next to me at a light, college girls. And they're like, and I'm like, I drive. I slow down. I'm like, and the girl flashes me. And I'm like, are those real? No, I'm just like, no, I'm going, I'm married, knock it off. And thanks be to God that they're like, oh, and they stop. I went to the hotel and I'm like, ugh. And I literally was like, make sure they didn't pull in here. I get in the elevator and have some resources from the meeting box. As the elevator's closing, a hand stops it. And it's a well put together woman. She gets on. She goes, hi. I go, hi. Now, I should have got off right then, which I normally do. But door shut, I'm like, oh, I just need to. Bing, the door's open. She puts her hand, she goes, can I get off on your floor? And I said, oh, my Lord. Ma'am, I'm not what you need, what you really should be looking for. You need Jesus Christ.
Come on.
That's all it is to it. I said, and she's like, her head dropped. She goes, oh my And, now I'm stepping out. I got the book. She's in the elevator. I said, ma'am, I don't know what's going on. She goes, I'm going through a divorce. She goes, I'm a Christian. I'm here on a business thing. And I just hit on a man of God. I'm like, well, doesn't God love you enough to put me in this elevator right this time to stop you from doing something stupid?
Come on.
She's like, yeah. So I said, here's a couple of books from Dr. Dobson. You need to read those. And I wait till the elevator closed. I was like, okay, she don't know where I'm at. And then the next day, I'm getting ready to leave the hotel. A lady, cleaning gal, young gal, comes in because I'm packing up. I'm getting ready. And she starts hitting on me. And the door's open. She's like, I can close it. I was like, whoa, no, I'm leaving. I go, young lady. And I mean, at this point, I'm just angry.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have to. Maybe you're not the, smartest guy, but you have to put two and two together to go, well, the devil's orienting, teeing up some things going after me. This is different than just what you say to your wife.
Yeah,
my norm.
Yeah, your fleshly desires. I go, and that's when a man can recognize that.
Yeah.
Then my gosh, he knows the battle's real.
Yep.
And I don't have to give in to this. That girl, I remember asking her, ma'am, has anyone ever explained to you the gospel of Jesus Christ? She goes, no. I say, may I? She goes, yeah. I shared the gospel, but then I go, is there any reason you shouldn't receive Christ as your Lord and Savior? She goes, no. I prayed with her right there. I said, get a Bible and read it. I left. I'm pumping gas at the airport, and bless her heart, a hooker, she's walking around. Hey, I opened my trunk and pulled out some books. I said, here, sell these. My dad was a pimp. God bless you. I catch the flight home. I land here in Colorado Springs. I grab my bags and I'm leaving, and I'm exhausted, tired. And this is exactly what I'm walking, and this person looks at me in my eyes. I look at them. We pass each other. And I was like, oh, it's a long stare. I turned real quick from my peripheral. And they turned and looked at me, and they go, have we met? Do I know you?
Oh, gosh.
It was a dude. I was like, no, I don't know you. I was like, So the enemy is always looking to trip us up, to diminish us up. But God gives us the power and the strength to stand. That's why I say, man, start at the home. If the dad's messed up, or if he's struggling, there's a porthole where if the dad is struggling with lust, man, the protective shield around your home is broken. I'm a firm believer. So that's where it starts with men, pastors, taking the extra step. And if people are uncomfortable, it's okay, because it's not, I can't tell you how many pastors have called me and said, I should have done that, Victor. I remember you told me. And now there was a guy in our ministry for years, he's a child abuser. I go, that's on you.
Yeah, because you're not called to make people comfortable. You're called to make them holy.
That's right.
Right. And so I think, Victor, what I love, obviously you and Eileen, you have a great marriage ministry as well, and Selena and I have loved watching the two of you. You have a beautiful relationship. But you said something I think that is critical, and the average guy out there needs to ask this question. Can I tell my wife I'm struggling? And I don't know. I'm assuming that the average guy feels he can't do that.
I guarantee you.
And I think
also.
That's a big, big come to Jesus moment that the average dude needs to have and say, you know what? If I can't go to my wife, of all people, and say, honey, I'm having a moment, I'm struggling. Can you be my primary accountability partner? And that is where you got to start.
Yeah. That's the ultimate place to be. And what I will warn men is it depends on the brokenness of your wife. So if your bride has brokenness and her she's very insecure and all that, if she catches him, then it's going to be loss of trust, and versus if he goes, hey, honey, what do you think the number one problem is with men struggling? It's porn.
Yeah. How do you guys? Yeah, that's good. Maybe give some steps of how can guys start the conversation with the spouse?
Well, I would say this. The wife needs to be strong spiritually. If she's weak, the enemy will only use that to divide them, cause great insecurity, and make her just go on social media. My husband's looking for him. When women comment on my posts sometimes, they're like, oh, I wish my husband was like you. You know, he's such a... This is what I respond. My wife makes it, my bride makes it easy to love her. And what I'm saying is, my bride would never make a comment like that publicly.
Yep.
You're telling on yourself, woman.
Yeah.
And, sorry, all this is for one woman. I asked Eileen one time in the kitchen, I said, because I'll do anything just to make her laugh. I said, hey, babe. She's going to go, hey. She's like, what? I think I just got finished working out. So I said, how did you get all this? She didn't even break. She just goes, it's a calling. And I was like, that was the most polite. I'm unconscious. And, I'm thankful to God that I've been able to be very transparent with my wife. I'm struggling with this. I remember one of the first times ever told her, and it was back when, the computer, and an email or something that would lead you. It was like a path. You just kind of, and all of a sudden, boom. I remember I said, honey, it was Friday night. I said, honey, come here. She goes, yeah. I go, I just was looking on my computer at nudie people doing nudie things for way too long. She goes, what? And I'm just like, oh gosh, here it comes. She goes, Victor, aren't you teaching tomorrow at a men's conference on purity? I go, yeah. She goes, well, I guess you just have to repent because you're human and then tell men to rely on the Lord better than you have.
Yeah, see,
and I'm like,
I love your wife.
That's
man.
it?
Eileen is so gracious and amazing because I think, speaking to women, this is an epidemic.
Oh, of course.
And men
to your point, it has to be worked through because I remember one time when we were in our first 11 years on the mission field, I had to make 2 trips a year to Mexico City doing paperwork in our residency. And so we never went alone because, I was with another missionary and we checked in the hotel. And in Mexico City, there's like ABC, NBC, CBS, and 3 or 4 porn channels.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's like not shielded.
Right.
And so we're laying there or whatever. And I didn't know that. Like, this is how I found out. And Audrey and I made the decision, we're not going to have a TV.
Right.
We would rather talk to each other than anything else. And then we got on the mission field and there was a time where we used a television like as a monitor to show an occasional whatever.
Watch your Mexican soap operas, get caught up on them.
Yeah, there's nothing worth watching on TV and any of the places that we've been. And most of it's not worth watching in the United States. But I digress. Anyway, we were both laying there. Oh my gosh, flash. And we looked at each other like, what in the world,
Yeah.
So he gets up and gets in the shower. And no, this was after. No, it was while he was in the shower.
Okay.
And it was like, hook.
Oh, yeah.
It got me, right? And thank God that he didn't stay in the shower very long and he came out and I'm like, warning, but it's like, whoa. And I'm going, shoot, I knew in that moment. I would have, had I been alone, I would have just sat there and it would just suck me into the black hole. Wait just a second. And so I'm like,
tell it.
I think I need to tell Audrey.
Bet it. Yep.
Right. So I got off of that trip and I went into, and it was hard for her to hear.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's different than saying, I like left my coat like Joseph and ran. No, I even though it didn't substantively happen,
right.
I told her inside, had that other guy not been there, I know I would have watched. And now I'm dealing with this thing inside.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
It's like going,
yep.
And so we made a decision. I knew I'm going to have to tell my wife every time. Well, that's been a great deterrent because she doesn't like to hear it, but she was just like, basically she was and is like, I know that I'm free to, and I also have decided to, and she's made it okay for me to say, even though it's not something that she wants to hear, but she's just like, secrecy is the power of sin.
Yeah.
That's the fertilizer for these things to grow. Yeah. But my wife is she's not insecure.
Right.
She's super strong spiritually,
right.
And I don't know what I would do if she were not there. Like the need to get there that's how we should all be. Our wives and our husbands, we should be stable enough to handle those things and become a refuge for one another.
Yeah.
And if it's not that way, that's a stop and fix. That's like, okay, what do we got to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got insecurities, and everybody knows, if you got insecurities, we need to get them dealt with.
Yeah.
So that we can stabilize in our marriages to engage in these kinds of things.
But I think, Britt,
both ways.
But I think you brought up a practical, important thing also for people who travel. I travel a lot. You travel a lot. I don't travel alone.
No, don't do it.
Well, I don't either. But sometimes you get trapped, and so we made up a safety thing.
Yeah, and
I carry a Leatherman. I just cut the end of the cable off of the TV.
Yep.
And so I would say
room.
Especially for people in ministry, but for any person, but especially for people in ministry, don't travel alone.
Agreed.
And then if you're comfortable enough, share a room. You get 2 beds. I do this all the time. I travel with other guys.
Yep.
We get 2 beds in the room, and it's inbuilt accountability. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, then the next morning at breakfast, look each other in the eye and be like, okay, bro, let's have an honest conversation.
Well, now
but we don't do this.
That thing right there is the danger.
Yep.
The smartphone.
That's I tell people, get a dumb phone.
Yeah, it's the access to the vomit of hell.
What are some of the best deterring things you can install on your phone that you can recommend?
I would say someone in the security realm that says, I get reports of everything you visit. But not like, there's one thing called Covenant Eyes, where if you go to a website, your wife will be pinged or someone else. Those are good. But, what I tell our staff is you just need to know that anything you look at that's inappropriate can be flagged, and our security for cyber will pull a report. So is it worth it? And because
you can't hide the history.
No, because look, 85% of porn is viewed at work, just so you know. 85% of child sexual abuse material is viewed at work. Why? Because it's a different IP address. A VPN is part of a larger network. But we can actually have access we have certain systems that any person who's looking at certain things, we know their IP address. I could put up a map right now in the United States and ping every person who's viewing horrible things. I could put their at least the building and address they're at. So there's a whole lot of legal ramifications. We're working on a heat map to do that so that anyone can type in their zip code and look and go, oh my gosh, there are people in my neighborhood looking at child porn right now. So it goes back to, man, a relationship with your wife, but what about the single guy? The single guy, he's got to determine that he's not an animal, and that I like when Russell Brand came out and said, I'm so sick of looking at, I'm so sick of looking at porn. He goes, I objectify every woman. I never forget he made the videos like, I'm unhealthy. He goes, what a waste of time. At the time, he was a non-believer, but just being honest. I was like, look at this dude. He's more honest than some Christian men at church. So I would say this to single men. Stop making porn out to be a Goliath that it's not. If the power of God that raised Christ from the dead dwells in us, and stop thinking that marriage will solve all your problems sexually. It's like, no. You just got to develop and be committed and go, Lord, you made me to. I got married because I wanted to have sex as a young. I became a Christian. I was in the Marines. I was like, well, I don't want to do that 10. I'm looking at the 10 list of don'ts or whatever, and I'm like, I better find me a woman. It's your sexual desires are an incredible thing. They're beautiful. Anybody in a godly relationship with intimacy knows how absolutely marvelous it is.
Amen.
And the enemy perverts everything. For the women who wants this, the enemy tries to get women to have as much sex as they can before marriage and have as little sex as they can after. That's the perversion. And that's what often hurts a husband. It's like, well, you dated a lot, and now now the enemy's twisting it.
Yeah.
But oftentimes it's women's shame, their guilt. They don't really feel forgiven and clean, and the enemy's reminding them. So when they go to be intimate, they feel dirty. And then you have a guy that brings these thoughts into the bed, like porn. He wants to get his wife to act like a porn star. I'm like, my gosh, man. My wife and I always call it synthetic. It's the best word. It's like, do you really want to just eat synthetic stuff?
Right.
Eat what God made for you. And there's a way it blesses it. And I love my wife. She tells women, look, don't set your man up for failure because a man's responsible for his own choices. And, I had a guy tell me, well, my wife hardly ever has intimacy with me, so that's why I cheated. I go, no, you cheated because you chose to.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Or I struggle. I go, I remember laughing being in Burma on a mission. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no, I'm like, funny, there's no issues with porn out here because people don't have access. You still deal with lust.
Yep.
But I'm like, wow, it's so convenient in the U.S. And I laughed. So men and wives, they got to get it together. You got to talk to your kids in a healthy way. And my wife was always amazing at that because I come from a bad background. It's like, and my wife would just, God made intimacy. It's a beautiful thing, but you have to wait till you're married. So we've talked about pastors, we've talked about men at home to prevent. And the next thing is kids. Men have to help young men walk through the minefield of their desires. Talk openly about it. And talk about what's synthetic, what's not. Talk about the power of purity, where your conscience is clear and you're not weighed down. Because, right, how it feels. You're like, and then there's this weight. Versus, I remember, do you remember phone sex? 1-900, Oh, am I the only one here? Okay. Great. All right.
I've heard about it.
Well, yeah, I heard about it too. 1-800 hot. No, I never forget. I was in Hawaii. We had martial arts schools there, and I got a daytime call. You know, I was like, "Hello," and this girl goes, "Hey, are you looking for any tools?" And you know, I go, "Like what kind?" Well, you know, power tools. And I was like, "No, thank you. I'm not even good building anything. Thanks for the call." She goes, "Do you want any pornography videos?" And I went, "What?" I said, "Do you need any porn videos?" And I started laughing. I go, "That was kind of abrupt. Do you just have like you just turn the page, can't sell tools. How about porn videos?" And I'm talking to this guy. I go, "What in the Sam Houston?" And I said, "Well, to answer your question, no." I thought about it for a minute. I was like, "No, I don't know." What? She goes, and she's a salesperson. She's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, I'm married. I have a healthy relationship. I don't want to get no." And she's all just, and then I'm like, I'm laughing, and I go, "You're a pretty good salesperson. Can I ask you why you're selling porn?" And she goes, "I'm a single mom. I got to make a living." I go, "Well, I understand that. My mom was single." And I said, "So I'm not judging you for that." I said, "Have you ever heard the gospel?" That's always that. "Has anybody ever explained the gospel to you?" She goes, "No." I said, "Do you mind if I do?" She goes, "No." Okay. She's like, "Wow." I shared the gospel with her. Then she gave her life to Christ.
Come on.
And she's crying on the phone. And I said, "Let me pray for you." I was like, "Lord, find this woman a job. Lord, show yourself faithful to her so she don't have to do this. Let her know her desire is good to want to provide for her children." And that's the thing. I've been part of operations where Christian single moms were turning tricks. Church-going women. Because the husband bailed, the father, kids gone.
Abandoned.
They are just trying to pay rent. And it's not like there's some women that need sex. So you know what they do? This, and I've seen it many times, but this one particular one that sets in mind was on a sting operation in Kansas City. The single mom would go to church. She put her kids down. They were like, not wee kids, but like 11, 12, 13. She'd put them down, and then she would take appointments from like 12 to 2 in the morning and meet at hotels, have sex for $100. And then I'm like, and I remember one lady just crying. She's just crying. She goes, "Man, and believe me," I said, "I understand your desire to provide, but this is so far from God's will for your life." Yeah. And, we were working with Homeland Security, HSI investigations, and they said, "We won't arrest you if you let this couple pray for you." And they were like, she's like, "Yeah, okay."
Deal. What a deal.
And they did that all night. And I was a special agent in charge who it was the right thing to do. Because what do you benefit from arresting a mom?
Right.
Her kids are at home by herself. She's going to get back. You see this, it's like, now the dudes that came, they got arrested. Which they
and I think, Victor, you've kind of touched on this multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're an unbeliever, a pastor, the power of God is the place where you got to start.
Amen.
And then accountability, and then vulnerability and honesty. It is not the unpardonable sin.
No. It can lead to a road of great consequence. But I just tell guys, stop making this to be some Goliath. It's not. You feed it power, and you're like, "Oh, porn." It's like you're believing lies. Yeah, no, you're. It's just like you're believing lies. That's all it is. Yeah. You're believing lies. Watch God make you pure. If you stumble, get back up.
Yeah,
move forward.
A righteous man falls 7 times.
Yeah, just boom. And I mean, we have what's called the Dangerous Gentleman Society, and people can go to that website Dangerous Gentleman Society, .org, I think, or .com, one of those. But, we want people to sign up on our email list. We're growing this, and it's a way to help men in whatever realm they're in all areas, and put men and voices in front of them that will help them in unbelievable ways. Joshua Broom, since we're talking about porn, he was the #1 porn star in the United States. Big dude. He sat right here. We interviewed him, and because he's a friend and he's like a spiritual son and love him to bits. He got out of the porn industry. God saved him, cleansed him. He's married. He's got 4 sons, and we put together a freedom. It's an online course, Freedom from Porn. And he just goes, man, if people really knew how fake and synthetic it is. I go, well, tell them, Josh, tell them what it's like to be in the. And he's like, well, okay, they're putting a light under your junk here. They're putting one here. There's 2 cameras. He goes, the producer or director's in the corner eating Cheetos. Do that again. No, one more time. Make it look like it, He goes, it's the worst experience. He goes, he says, so often I don't even know the girl's name. She's on drugs, trying to cover, and
trying to cope.
Yeah, and then you go home, you feel dirty, filthy, no matter how much they pay you. Yeah. And here he is. We laughed making this course because I go, my dad was a pimp. I come from abuse and craziness, sexually. You were in a porn star, dude. But yet, when we both got saved and met our future wives, we committed not to sleep with them, not to have sex till we were married. And I started laughing. I'm like, that's funny. Of all, if we can do it, anybody can.
Yeah.
And that's been a big blessing in both our relationships with our wives. So, yeah, it's what you believe, the truth versus the lie of the enemy. And I always say this, God's not a liar. When men start, I'm like, stop.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
You've engaged from all angles of this, like the results of where this goes and the most terrible scenario, to what you're talking about now, which is helping men engage and live in purity. So of all the men that you've dealt with, what would you say the ones are, some of them, the compulsion that they have, and it seems like an insurmountable thing, are demons involved, and how much is it? Well, this is just how we're wired, because I know it can be both of those things. But a lot of people are like, I know this. Some guys are like, oh, if I slip up once, I need deliverance. I got demons. What? Can you just talk about that just a second? Because there's a valid thing about that. There's definitely demons involved sometimes, but all the time?
Yeah, this is what I say. If there's a compulsion and you're driven and you're hating life, well, that's probably not your flesh.
Yep.
You've gone beyond the desire of your flesh. And now it's like, oh gosh. So,
I need help.
Yeah, so I put in categories of the curious. Just like when I was a kid, there was a Playboy in the woods. All the kids in the neighborhood went,
You all knew where it was.
Yeah, it's like, they're my boobies. Oh my. That's what, and it's that curiosity. Then there's the person who struggles. And they struggle, but it's every now and then. It's like, and I was doing so good, and then, I drove by the La Leche League, and there was a poster board of moms breastfeeding kids. Not what you're like, and then there's the person who's seriously in bondage, and it's destroying their life, and they know, they're like, this thing's got a hold of me. That's where the demonic tends to be driving people. I'll give you a great example. I'll tell you his name. He's a personality for Turning Point USA. They call him is it the Black MAGA Hulk or something? Steven. He's this big, oh my gosh, big dude. Amazing. Love him and his wife and Eileen. But I prayed for him one time. I have what's called a retooling prayer, which is part of our film, The Unseen War, which everybody should see that, Unseen War. And because we describe in detail, how does the enemy mess with you? It's like, for real, what's factual? Boom. I prayed for him. I never forget, man. He was crying. He goes, until just now, I never thought I could be free.
Come on.
From lust. He goes, something. So I was like, all right, because there was a demonic.
Yeah.
He's not possessed. It's just assignment, like, but we broke it, destroyed it. Love killing demons. Take their scalp. And so he's at an event speaking, a big event. And I'm one of the speakers, but we're in the back. And he gets up, he goes, I just want to let everybody know, retooling prayer, Victor Marx prayed for me. I haven't had a desire to look at porn since we prayed, not even a desire. He's like, starts testifying. Everybody's like, I'm like, oh. He goes, I've been looking at porn since I was 12. And he's just like, I've never, he doesn't care what anybody thinks. I'm like, oh. Okay, wow. He's going for it.
He's going for it.
That's what a free man does, who's got no more guilt or shame.
Yeah.
Same with people who struggle. You can speak openly and freely because you're free. And it was a miracle to him. And it was. It was a miracle that God set him free. So otherwise, common sense. If you're struggling and you got stuff on your phone, well, get a dumb phone. Get a flip phone, We let society put these constraints on us. My dream, I don't know if it'll happen. My dream, I'll be 60 this year. And my goal
Welcome to the club.
I'm like, yeah. I actually don't even like phones for many reasons. I have two and I have a third one upstairs. I'm like, oh, my dream is to not have a phone. Because I have people around me all the time.
Phil Robertson, just join his club.
Hey, Phil made us dinner. Him and Kay at their house. He doesn't have a phone.
He doesn't have a phone.
Same with Si.
I don't even think he probably has a computer either.
He doesn't. We're sitting in the living room. He goes, hey, Victor, you want to see my internet? I go, sure. He pointed it on the floor, was Encyclopedia Britannica. He goes, it never gets a virus. I mean, he cooked us the best meal ever. And then I spoke at his Bible study. All just real folks, love him to bits. And I know he's going through it right now. And we pray for him.
Jesus.
Aging and, and look, I want to be transported to heaven. I want the Lord to come back. But, however my life's supposed to glorify him on things I can't control, and I just want to embrace it and run hard.
Well, I love the way the Lord works. I mean, we started out wanting to talk about, obviously trafficking, child abuse, the reality of it, exploitation. But I think where we ended up is all connected to that.
Well, yeah, because he's saying the way down on the bottom, moral bankruptcy is what's driving this.
Yeah.
We can't arrest our way out of it. We can't have so many security people that would, convince everybody that we're going to reveal what they're watching and looking at. That's not it. And the question was, what can a pastor do? Well, the gospel's the thing.
Well, and I think what I hear you say, Victor, is if Riaan, if I take responsibility for my purity, I've contributed to the solution.
Amen.
Yes.
Fighting.
And those in our influence, our orbit of influence.
And it's one thing to give to ministries, and it's all valid, it's all great. But if you're giving to help fight this problem, but you're not taking care of yourself,
come on. Stop
giving to other ministries and start taking care of yourself. Take that money and start investing in your own life. Go get the whatever the apps. go get a counselor. Go get whatever. Because if you can take care of you, you've contributed to the solution.
Now, what I have found, and this is real, we have people that support us, right? And more specifically, our Protecting Children's Innocence Task Force. They support that. now they feel accountable because they're part of a team that's fighting.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I got to keep my life clean.
Yeah, come on.
I don't struggle with child sexual abuse material, but I spoke at a men's deal. And man, by the time I finished, men were just like, "Oh, yeah." I said, yeah, let's do this. I said, so anybody wants to be involved in the ministry, just sign up and put your email, and then we'll email y'all, and then send me your password information on your Wi-Fi at home. And randomly, we'll have a van go by, in the next several
Spot check.
Yeah, spot check you, and then we'll post that on our, for anybody. Man,
more excited
they
people.
went from hitting shields, rah, rah. And I said, you see, I said, let me tell you something. You don't fight the devil by staying in his sandbox.
Come on.
Yeah.
Don't. No, I said, so that's where I talk to our staff and people, and look, imagine, and I'll close with this, those that have to view the videos, the photos of kids being abused, raped, beaten, in order to put a case together. I mean, I was looking at some, stuff that's not illegal, but I've seen, horrible things. And I have images that are stuck in my mind of the evil that's done. That has created such a smelling sauce of purity for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, it's the same evil. Keep yourself pure. But we do what's called a guardian retreat here at our leadership training center for law enforcement, state, federal, who analysts, detectives, district attorneys, everybody that has to view, watch,
deal with,
even read the details. And I'd ask the audience to pray for us that way, help support us that way. If they, what it does to our human soul. And it's not, do you see what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, I'm just going to look at something to, get me excited. They have to look at the worst, and it messes with you. So we get them here. We help them physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And we have the best shooters, trainers, intel, surveillance, former CI, case. We got the best here. We do blood work. We do brain mapping. We do everything to try to get them, okay.
Counseling.
Counsel before they go back in. And then we're like, whenever you need to take a break,
come on back.
Come here. We're trying to get some more land close by and put little mini houses on there so that at any time an officer or anyone involved can go, I just need a break. We'll fly you here, put you up, into shooting, running, nature, prayer, sauna, we did cold plunges. We had 4 big cold plunges for the last group. And talk about coming to Jesus, woo! But I don't want people watching this to forget these folks that are literally the operational engagement arm. And this is what we do. So thank you for the prayers for them.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for being with us. And this is great. Thanks for being a friend and thanks for being close. I always feel nervous around Victor because, it's like when I shoot a gun, it's like, am I going to mess it up? And like when we talk about purity, it's like, am I pure enough? Is there anything, what's Victor going to find out? What's he going to see? But that's what we need.
That's what we need.
That's what we need. You need to have a guy or someone in your life like a Victor that always makes you go like, is there something there?
Check
right?
yourself.
I mean, check yourself. And so I would say, man, just in conclusion again, invest in your own purity. That is the greatest resource to fighting child trafficking, child abuse,
Yes.
and all the evils that go along with that. And then second of all, I will tell you, this is one of the best ministries you can invest in. And so if you're looking for a ministry to invest in, and I'm telling you, Victor is one of those guys, he has a vision bigger than the check that you can write. I can promise you that. They've got vision to help so many people. And so there are not enough zeros you can put on that check that will max out this man's vision. So be generous, look up their ministry, All Things Possible, support Victor and what they do, and tune in next time and we'll continue our conversations. Hey, thank you so much for watching the Gateway to Mercy podcast. We truly appreciate you watching and contributing. So please like, subscribe, comment, and let us know what you think of the podcast and share with your friends. Invite others to watch this podcast. We are really motivated to see the gospel move forward to the ends of the earth. So if you have questions, email us at gatewaytomercy@mountaingateway.org. God bless.